There's really only one rule that I feel like everybody should follow on their self improvement journey. And that one rule is the fact that when you finally do get to where you want to be, when you acquire all the materialistic things that you may want to acquire, when you overcome the challenge that you may face mentally and you break through barriers, you have to constantly remind yourself to not look back. And you really do have to look at it like this. Just imagine somebody battling with alcoholism, right? They end up going to rehab. They spend a year in rehab, they get out of rehab, and they put themselves right back in that same environment that made them start drinking in the first place. Nine times out of 10, that person is going to relapse. And we are no better than them in terms of bad habits and just placing ourselves in certain environments that are just toxic to us. So once you do finally get to that point where you acquire everything that you want to acquire, you have to remind yourself that I cannot put myself back in those same environments. I cannot put myself around those same people because I am human. I know that I have weaknesses. I know that I have flaws, and no matter how macho I may think I am or how strong-minded I may think I am, at some point I will fall short if I allow myself to be put in a position to do so. And this one really hit me hard because I'm somebody who pretty much lives through this idea of, practicing a growth mindset and always trying to push forward and accomplish new things, right? So with me, I remember when I went to the military, it completely changed the way that I was living. I stopped doing majority of all the bad things that I used to do. Like every other kid, you may steal candy from stores and just hang around the wrong people, right? But when I came home, I was completely transformed. You may have thought that you overcame certain obstacles in your life, but when you're placed back in that position that made you originally start moving the way that you were moving, you will relapse. So I'm here to tell you today, once you do get to that point during your journey where you're mentally conscious enough about what's going on around you, please don't allow yourself to relapse. Please don't allow yourself to get put back in those same situations, whether it's toxic relationships, whether it's old environments around old friends that really do not provide you any value. Once you outgrow people, allow yourself to continue to grow. Do not think that you can go back and you can change and fix everybody. Because in reality, sometimes we do have to focus on saving ourselves. Sometimes we simply do not have the mental capacity to go back and try to save everybody, especially during those moments where you may be vulnerable and you're barely overcoming certain challenges and obstacles in your life. If you're growing, just allow yourself to fully grow before you try to do anything of that sort. Because I'm somebody, like I said before, who thought I was just mentally there, who overcame every challenge that I may have wanted to overcome. And then I finally learned down the road that just like that, you could relapse. Just like that, you could be put right back in the same position where you're going through toxic relationships or you're dealing with people that you knew that you shouldn't be dealing with. And the sad part about this is because you're mentally conscious enough to know right from wrong, and you know deep down inside that you shouldn't be doing certain things, but it's very hard for you to fight that urge because you just put yourself back in those old environments or in those old situations. So now you're dealing with all of those things over again. We got to really start taking the time to treat ourselves like human beings. It's okay when you grow, but just remember that just because you've grown does not mean that you cannot backtrack. It's easy for us to relive past events. It's easy for us to get put in a position where we may think like, should we be doing this? And we may slip up. Nobody is perfect. And at first, I didn't necessarily believe in this concept of really relapsing on this form of growth, because everyone that I've known and everyone that I've been around, we all just think that, once you elevate, you may move out of a certain area. Once you outgrow that, then you would think that it's only up from there. But what is a person that completely outgrows an environment and he constantly goes back to relive those past events? Because to me, that's a person that's going to be put right back in that position. That's a person that's going to eventually get to the point where they slip up because they're allowing themselves to relive what initially sparked that problem to begin with. The one thing that you could spend your whole life trying to overcome and finally decide to overcome it, you can easily relapse by thinking that you've gotten to a point mentally where it doesn't faze you anymore, where you believe that you've gotten to a point mentally where you can go and do that thing again. I can go hang around everybody who smokes and who drinks. I recovered. I know that I don't drink or I don't smoke anymore. So let me go put myself in a position to hang around my old friends or go hang out in that old environment where all they do is smoke and drink. I know that I'm strong minded enough to not do it again. Yeah, you may be strong minded enough at first. Within the first year, you might feel great, but give it 2 years, give it 3 years. We all have a point during our lives where we may weaken up. When you first get in a relationship, usually majority of people aren't fully exposed within the first couple of months. It takes time to get to know somebody and for people to open up. But 2 to 3 years down the line, I guarantee that person probably knows each and everything about you. The same thing applies to life. Because like I said before, it doesn't matter how strong-minded you are. You cannot place yourself back in those old environments that are constantly moving the same way that you used to move, because you will relapse at some point. And I feel like the key takeaway with this is really do not think that you're bigger than that actual experience itself. Do not get so big headed once you finally do grow and you overcome it to the point where you feel as if there's nothing that can make you relapse on that form of toxicity that you may have been faced with. Because I'm here to tell you today, I'm somebody who I feel like is very strong minded and strong willed. And even me, somebody like that conscious and that present, got to the point in my life where I relapsed and I just relived all of those past experiences. This has to do with toxic relationships. This has to do with old friendships. This has to do with just being in environments that you shouldn't be in, that you thought that you outgrew. You know deep down inside if you shouldn't be in a place, or if you shouldn't be with a person, if you shouldn't be in a place, and it's up to you to hold yourself accountable. Understanding that you are a human being. You could slip up and you can make mistakes. And if you let your guard down for 1 second, this is when the enemy will try to attack you. I don't want to see any of you faced with the same problem that I was faced with. That's the main reason I'm making this video today. Because I want y'all to know, I want y'all to go out and overcome certain challenges in your life and really think in the back of your head like, okay, it was very difficult for me to overcome this challenge. Just because I overcame it, just because I feel good at this moment, does not mean that 5-6 months from now, I'm going to be in the same headspace. Something may occur in your life that weakens you and make you feel more vulnerable, which means that you may be more prone to making bad mistakes. You have to understand this. It can be one slip up, one moment that catches you completely off guard. And then you end up in the same position that you were 5, 6, 7, 8 months ago. So if you're done with those old environments, if you're done with those old friends, if you're done drinking and smoking and partying, if you truly mean that you want to move on and let your past life go, you got to fully let it go. When you finally get out, because you will, you got to really tell yourself that I'm never going back. I don't want to step foot around those old people that don't provide me any value. I don't want to step foot in those clubs. I don't want to ever touch or drink again in my life. You have to be strict and you have to be firm on what it is that you're going to do so that these things does not come into your life. Because I promise you, at some point you will slip up. I don't know if y'all can hear them, but just a side note, it's a grass man outside, man. So just bear with me. But at some point during your journey, you will and you can slip up. But I don't want anybody watching this video to feel as if they do not have the courage and the strength to overcome those challenges, because you do. You just have to understand that you're human and you will, if you allow yourself to, make those mistakes. I'm somebody who moved away from my hometown 3 different times. And each time I always ended up back there. Whether it was me holding on to old friendships, relationships, I always found myself back in my home environment where I told myself that I should not be, because I've outgrown it, because the people that I was dealing with didn't provide me any value. And what did this do for me? It constantly put me right back in that same state of mind that I started with. In and out of toxic relationships, in and out of the club. I've never been a drinker or a smoker, but occasionally drinking and smoking. These are the type of things that you have to fully let go and not look back. Obviously, y'all can see, for y'all who, been watching my videos, I'm in a different place now. I'm in a different environment. But this time, we're going to try to do it a little different. And I want each and every last one of you to do the same. Try to live for today. Try to completely let everything go in your past and start with a clean slate. Life is way too short to be holding on to anything that does not provide you value right now. If it does not provide you value at this very moment, at this very second, then it does not need to be in your life. People, environments, anything, a person, if it does not provide you value at this very moment, then it has no significance to you, period. This was one of my biggest problems because I'm so used to judging people and even just environments, just hoping that things get better off potential. But we do not have the time, we do not have the energy to allow things to fully flourish to its highest point before we finally profit. We need to profit now. We need to profit at this very moment because we don't know we don't know when our time is, first of all, but we don't know if something will turn out how we believe that it will turn out. So I say that to say, just be very conscious of what's going on around you. Do not allow yourself to get sidetracked on this self-improvement journey and end up right back in the place that you've tried and you worked really hard to overcome and get out of. If you beat the odds, if you get away from everything that you've been trying to get away from, really take it in and stay as far away as possible from things that can draw you back into that environment. Stay away from those people who you know are not building you up. And you feel it. Oftentimes we feel this inside. You know if you shouldn't be around somebody. You know if you shouldn't be in a certain environment. And you be thinking it in the back of your head, but it's just a matter of you allowing yourself to just be selfish for a very moment. Put yourself first. Stop thinking about everybody else. Stop thinking about how people would feel if you chose to put you first. Because I guarantee if the roles were flipped, each and every last one of those people that you may be considering would always choose them. And you cannot be mad at them. Because in the world that we live in today, you have to be that selfish. You have to be willing to choose yourself over anybody else to make yourself happy. And that's okay. And even that was something that is still something that I'm working on today. Because me just being so considerate and wanting to see everybody happy, it's just hard to balance all of those. But we got to get out of that mindset of people pleasing. We got to put ourselves first and truly learn to live for us. Because at the end of the day, that's really all we have is ourselves. But if you made it to the end of the video, I just want to say thank you so much. You know, I love y'all. I really want y'all to continue to grow and push forward and become the best versions of yourselves. But like I said, once you get out of that environment that is toxic, that is draining, please don't look back. Do not allow yourself to just be so caught up in how things were, because the new environment may not be as thrilling or as fun, but just keep in mind that it's yet. It may not be fun yet. It may not be thrilling yet. But you have to allow yourself to grow and expand in this new environment. But if you made it to the end of the video, I just want to say thank you so much. It's your boy Blue J Tay. Drop a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.